It's funny when you think about it, like just everyday stuff, asking a coworker to, I don't know, cover for you or something.
Oh, yeah.
Getting a friend to try a new restaurant they've never been to.
Right.
It seems small, but then you scale it up.
Uh-huh.
Like all those times you have to deal with salespeople or even just why some ads, just work on you.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like we're constantly in this world of like being pushed and pulled to do things. We're all trying to get people to do things.
It's a dance. It's a constant dance of influence going on around us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's kind of wild how much of it is like not even conscious. It's like almost psychological.
Yeah, it's amazing how much it really taps into these really deep parts of how our minds work.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to dig into in this deep dive.
Yeah.
So we're diving into the psychology of influence, and our main source material is Robert Cialdini's book, Influence.
Great book.
Oh, yeah. Super insightful.
Yeah.
What we want to do is like give you, the listener, these core principles that make people say yes.
Yeah.
And often it's without them even realizing why they're saying it.
Right.
It's like understanding these, I don't know, almost secret forces that shape our choices.
I love that. It is like you're getting this behind the scenes look at your own mind, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And, the thing about Cialdini is he didn't just, come up with these ideas sitting in an office somewhere. I mean, of course, he did tons of experiments, rigorous studies.
Right.
But he also spent years, like, really immersed in the world of persuasion, salespeople, fundraisers, marketers, all those folks whose job it is to get you to say yes.
Like on the front lines of like getting people to do stuff.
Exactly. He was right there in the trenches with them, observing, interacting. So
Yeah.
his findings, they have this really practical edge to them.
Yeah, totally. It's not just theory. It's like real world, battle-tested stuff. And one of the things that just like blew my mind when I was reading this was this idea of like automatic mindless compliance. Have you ever thought about how much information you're bombarded with every single day?
Oh, it's overwhelming.
It's insane.
Right.
It feels like you almost need to have like some kind of mental autopilot just to function.
Yeah.
And that's where these automatic responses can kick in.
That's right. It's almost like we're forced to simplify. It's like that famous quote, I think it was Whitehead, who said, "Civilization advances by extending the number of operations we can perform without thinking about them. You just can't be analyzing every single thing."
Yeah, you'd be paralyzed. So we developed these shortcuts.
Exactly, shortcuts. Cialdini calls them click-run patterns. Like a certain trigger happens, click, and then boom, the program response just runs automatically.
Like a cassette tape.
Yeah, exactly. You hit play, and the whole sequence just unfolds. And sometimes it works great, helps us be efficient,
Right.
But the flip side is it also makes us vulnerable to those who know how to exploit those patterns, how to push those buttons.
Like they have the cheat codes to our brains.
Exactly. They know exactly how to make us click, run in their favor.
So that's, I guess, what we're doing here. We're giving you, the listener, a bit of a, I don't know, like a mental toolkit, right? We're unpacking these like levers of influence, the things that often without us even realizing it, sway our decisions.
Love it. It's like we're giving you X-ray vision to see the hidden forces at work.
Yeah, and hopefully after this, you'll look at yourself and the people around you in a whole new way.
Absolutely. You'll start spotting these patterns everywhere. It's kind of mind-blowing.
It is. Okay, so let's get into the specifics of how this click-run thing actually works. Cialdini uses this really interesting example of like mother turkeys.
Oh, yeah, the turkeys.
He talks about how they have this like deeply ingrained response to the sound of their chicks, the cheep cheep sound. And it's so strong that a mother turkey will actually nurture anything that makes that sound. Like even a predator, like a polecat.
Crazy, right.
But here's the kicker. She'll completely ignore her own chick if it doesn't make that cheep cheep sound.
It's wild. Like logic goes out the window.
It makes no sense.
None whatsoever.
But, when you think about it, it's not just some weird turkey thing.
Right.
Like, animal behaviorists have seen this kind of like automatic behavior in all sorts of animals. They call them fixed action patterns. These complex, almost robotic behaviors, they happen the exact same way every single time a specific trigger pops up.
It's like they're hardwired into the system.
Yeah, and the point is, we humans, we have these automatic patterns too. Cialdini calls them mental shortcuts, those, ingrained associations that let us make quick decisions in this crazy, complex world.
Right, because who has time to fully think through every single choice, right?
Exactly. And, that quote we mentioned earlier about civilization advancing. It's like we're constantly trying to offload some of that thinking.
Mm-hmm. Delegate to the autopilot whenever we can.
Yeah. And that can be good. But sometimes it can lead us to make choices that, well, maybe aren't in our best interest.
Oh, for sure. Cialdini talks about this study with an energy drink, and it just flips everything you'd think on its head. So you'd imagine, right, that if you got a discount on something, you'd feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, like happy you saved money.
Exactly. And then maybe you'd do better on, say, some mental task.
Right.
But in this study, they found the complete opposite. People who got the energy drink for a lower price, they actually solved fewer problems than the people who paid full price.
Really? That's so weird. Why would that be?
That's the question, right? I mean, it's like on some level, maybe we unconsciously associate a higher price with higher quality or effectiveness.
Like if it's cheap, it can't be that good.
Right, even for something that's supposed to, make you think about it.
It's like those shortcuts we were talking about. Our automatic responses, they're not always based on logic or reason. They're based on these, like, deeper associations, these rules of thumb that we've picked up along the way.
Exactly. They're heuristics, those mental shortcuts. And that takes us to another one of those powerful principles. Reciprocation. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. We all know that one.
Yeah. It's like one of the oldest rules in the book. You do something for me, I do something for you. And we learned that early on. It's like ingrained in us.
Absolutely. Cialdini makes this point that it's actually essential for how societies work. Think about it. Cooperation, sharing resources. It all relies on this idea that if I give something, I can expect something in return. And societies that do that well, they thrive.
Yeah, you got to have some kind of give and take.
Absolutely. And if you break that rule well, you get labeled a freeloader. And nobody wants that.
No, that's a bad look. So this feeling of obligation, like how strong is it really?
Oh, it's incredibly strong. It can even override your personal preferences. There's this study Cialdini talks about, the Reagan study. They found that people bought more raffle tickets from a guy named Joe, even if they didn't really like him, just because he had done them a small favor earlier.
Like what kind of favor?
Oh, something super simple. Like, he gave them a Coke. Nothing major.
Just a Coke.
Just a Coke. But it created this feeling of indebtedness. And that was enough to make them buy more raffle tickets, even if they weren't that keen on Joe himself.
Wow. So it's not even about liking the person. It's about this feeling of owing them something.
Right. The feeling of owing them was more important than their actual liking for the guy.
That's crazy. And it makes you think, like, how much of our behavior is driven by this without us even realizing it?
All the time. And it doesn't even have to be a big favor. Think about those free samples they give you at the grocery store.
Oh, yeah, like a little piece of cheese or something.
Yep. Exactly. Or in a candy shop. A little taste of something. Cialdini says that in one study, giving customers a free piece of candy increased the likelihood of them making a purchase by a whopping 42%.
That's huge. And it makes you think, like, all those free trials you see online.
Oh, absolutely. It's all tapping into the same principle. You get something for free, and you feel like you got to give something back, even if it's just your email address or signing up for something you don't really need. And then, of course, there's the Amway bug technique. Classic example.
What's that? I haven't heard of that one.
So they leave a bag of products with potential customers for free, no obligation, just try it out.
He's nice.
Right? It seems super generous, but guess what? It triggers that same sense of obligation. People feel like they got to buy something just to reciprocate.
Yeah.
Brilliant, if you ask me.
Sneaky.
Oh, definitely. But effective. And what's interesting is that this feeling of obligation, it's not always a bad thing. It can actually be quite powerful in, helping people resist manipulation as well.
Oh, really? How so?
Cialdini tells the story of Diane Louis. She was part of that Jonestown cult.
Oh, wow.
And she consciously refused any favors from Jim Jones, the leader.
Interesting.
Because she understood that those favors, they were all about control. She knew they'd create a sense of obligation, a way for him to exert power over her.
That's so insightful. Like she recognized the underlying game.
Exactly. She saw right through it. And Cialdini makes the point that for most people, feeling indebted, it's actually kind of uncomfortable. It messes with that natural back and forth we need in our social interactions.
Yeah, it's like it throws things off balance.
Right. And we naturally want to restore that balance, even if it means doing something we wouldn't normally do.
Huh.
There's a Japanese proverb, there's nothing more expensive than that which comes for free. It perfectly captures that feeling.
It really does. It's like that free thing comes with a hidden price tag.
Exactly. And sometimes that price tag is agreeing to a much bigger favor than the one you received initially.
Oh, that makes sense. Like you feel like you have to overcompensate almost.
Exactly. And that leads us to the rejection then retreat technique. Ever heard of that one?
Is that the door in the face thing?
Yes. It's where someone asks for something huge, knowing you'll probably say no, and then they hit you with a smaller request, something much more reasonable.
Oh, yeah, totally. And you're like, well, compared to that first thing.
Right. It's like they've made a concession.
Yeah.
So you feel obligated to reciprocate to meet them halfway. There was this experiment where they asked college students if they'd chaperone juvenile delinquents on a trip to the zoo.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, not exactly a tempting offer, right? Not many people said yes.
I'd imagine not.
But here's the thing. If they first asked the students to commit to 2 hours a week of counseling for 2 years,
Oh, wow.
and then asked about the zoo trip, the number of yeses tripled.
That is fascinating. So it's about making the second thing seem small by comparison.
Exactly. And what's cool is this technique, it doesn't just get compliance. It actually seems to have some positive side effects. Like in another experiment, they found that people who agreed to donate blood because of this technique, they were actually more likely to donate again in the future.
Really? Like they felt better about the whole thing?
Yeah. They also felt more responsible for their decision, more satisfied with it. It's like, even though the negotiation was kind of manipulated, it created this feeling of, hey, I got a good deal here.
It makes it more personal, right? Like, I chose this.
Exactly. They weren't just cornered into it. They felt like they had a say.
So I guess the question is, how can you avoid being taken advantage of with all this reciprocity stuff?
Well, Cialdini says, first of all, you got to recognize the difference between a genuine favor and a manipulation tactic.
Okay, how do you do that?
Well, if someone's doing you a small favor and then immediately hitting you with a huge request, that's a pretty good sign it's a trick. And if it is a trick, you don't owe them anything.
They're off the hook.
Exactly. He even uses this example of like the Home Fire Safety Association. They offer all these free services, a fire inspection, a fire extinguisher,
Sounds nice.
Right. But the catch is they're really just trying to get into your house so they can sell you an expensive fire alarm system. Once you see it for what it is, a trick, you don't feel obligated to buy anything.
So it's about staying aware, not getting swept up in the, free stuff.
Exactly. And it's interesting, this whole reciprocity thing, it's everywhere. Like, think about those referral programs.
Oh, yeah, the tell a friend, and you both get a discount.
Right. They're everywhere. Right. And then they totally tap into that feeling of obligation. Like, you feel like you got to refer someone, either because someone referred you or because you want that sweet, sweet discount.
It's a modern spin on an age-old tactic.
Exactly. It's human nature at play.
Okay, let's move on to another biggie. Liking. It seems pretty obvious you're more likely to say yes to people you like, but what really makes someone likable in the first place?
Well, Cialdini breaks it down into a few key things. One of them, and it might seem shallow, but it's true, is physical attractiveness. There's a ton of research that shows that attractive people just have an advantage in social situations.
Yeah, they get away with more, right?
It's that halo effect, right? You see someone attractive and you automatically assume they're also talented, kind, intelligent, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And that, of course, makes them more persuasive.
Like our brains are taking shortcuts again. Yeah. They look good, so they must be good.
Exactly. And it's not always a conscious thing. It's just how our brains work.
What else makes someone likable?
Similarity is a big one. We tend to like people who are similar to us.
Makes sense, right? Common ground and all that.
Right. It's just easier to connect with someone who sees the world the way you do, who shares your values, your interests, even just small things like your style.
Totally. But Cialdini says to watch out for people who might be faking that similarity.
Oh, yeah, you got to be careful. Some people are really good at pretending to be just like you, just to get you to like them.
How do you even spot that?
Well, sometimes it's subtle, but it can be as simple as, like, how they dress, the words they use, their body language. They try to mirror you.
Wow, sneaky.
Right, and they actually teach this stuff in, sales training programs. They tell people to subtly mimic their customers' behavior because it's been shown to lead to better outcomes.
No way.
Yeah, servers get bigger tips, salespeople close more deals, even negotiators get better results when they do this. And get this, they even found it works in speed dating.
That's wild. It's like a psychological Jedi mind trick.
It is. So be aware. If someone seems a little too much like you, a little too eager to agree with everything you say, maybe take a step back.
Good advice. So what about compliments?
Yeah.
Do they make someone more likable?
Oh, absolutely. We're all suckers for a good compliment, right? It makes us feel good, and we naturally like the person who made us feel that way, even if the compliment is, kind of obvious or insincere.
Really? So even those cheesy, I like you cards?
Yeah, even those can work. They might seem silly, but they do have an effect. But of course, genuine compliments are even better, especially when they're not directly from the person.
What do you mean?
Like if someone says something nice about you to a third person and it gets back to you, that carries more weight. Or compliments that, like give you a reputation to live up to. It's subtle, but it makes you think, oh, they see me as this kind of person. I better be that kind of person.
That's interesting. It's like they're shaping your self-image.
Exactly. And Cialdini, he's actually really honest about his own struggle with giving compliments. He knows how powerful they are, but he still finds it hard to do consistently.
It's one thing to know it, another to put it into practice, right?
Exactly. So don't beat yourself up if you're not like a compliment giving machine. It's something to work on, but we all have our blind spots.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about attractiveness, similarity, compliments. What else plays into liking?
Contact and cooperation. Now, you might think that just being around someone more would make you like them more, but it's not that simple.
I guess if you don't get along, more time together just makes it worse.
Exactly. Like Cialdini talks about how when they desegregated schools, it actually increased hostility in some cases.
Right.
Especially in classrooms that were super competitive.
Makes sense. If you're always pitted against each other.
Right. It breeds resentment, not liking. But when people cooperate, work together towards a common goal, that's when contact can really build strong bonds.
So teamwork makes the dream work.
Totally. He talks about this experiment, the Robbers Cave experiment. They had these two groups of boys at summer camp, and they were like fierce rivals.
Oh, no.
Yeah, total us versus them. But then the researchers created these situations where the boys had to cooperate to solve a problem, to achieve a shared goal. And guess what? It completely changed the dynamic. They went from enemies to friends.
So having a common enemy brings people together.
Exactly. And it's not just about enemies. It's about any shared goal, any shared challenge. Working together, it creates this sense of we're in this together, and that's incredibly powerful.
Makes you think about how we structure things, right? Like at work, at school. Maybe we need more emphasis on collaboration.
I think so. It could make a huge difference. Okay, one last thing on liking. Association. We tend to like things that we associate with good feelings and dislike things that are linked to bad feelings.
Makes sense. Like you smell freshly baked cookies and you feel happy, even if you're not the one baking.
Exactly. And it's not just smells. It can be anything. Music, images, people.
People.
Yeah, think about it. If you see someone constantly hanging out with people you admire, you're going to start liking that person more, even if you don't really know them.
It's like guilt by association, but in a positive way.
Right. And the reverse is true, too. If someone's always around people you dislike,
You're going to be less inclined to like them.
Exactly. So people who understand this, they're very careful about who they're seen with, what they're associated with. They try to like bask in the reflected glory of positive things.
So how can you protect yourself from this, especially if someone's using it to like intentionally manipulate you?
Cialdini's advice is pretty simple. If you find yourself feeling like unusually strong liking for someone who's trying to persuade you, it's a red flag.
Like if the salesperson is just super charming and you're like, oh, I really like this person.
Right. Take a step back and ask yourself, am I liking the person or am I liking the deal? Separate the two and then make your decision based on the facts, not just feelings.
So basically, don't let your emotions cloud your judgment.
Exactly. Okay, ready to move on? We've got a lot more ground to cover.
Hit me with it. What's next?
Social proof. This is the idea that we look to others to figure out what's the right way to behave. Like if everyone else is doing something, it must be okay, right?
Yeah, totally. Like if everyone at a restaurant is ordering a certain dish,
Yeah.
you're more likely to try it.
Exactly. Or think about like online reviews. If a product has tons of 5-star reviews, you're more likely to buy it, even if you've never heard of the brand.
Makes sense. It's like we're outsourcing our decision-making to the crowd.
Right. And there's a reason for that. It's efficient, for one thing. We don't have time to research every single thing ourselves.
Yeah, got to trust the hive mind sometimes.
Exactly. And for the most part, it works pretty well. But there are times when it can backfire. Cialdini talks about this phenomenon called pluralistic ignorance. It's where everyone in a group misinterprets the situation because they're all looking to each other for cues, and no one wants to be the first to act.
Okay, I need an example of this.
Imagine you're at a concert, and someone near you seems to need help. Maybe they've fainted or something. but everyone's just standing around not doing anything because they all assume someone else has already called for help or knows what's going on.
Oh, I've totally been in situations like that. You just kind of freeze up and you assume someone else is taking care of it.
Right, and that's the danger of social proof. When everyone's looking to everyone else, it can lead to inaction, even in emergencies.
Well, how do you break out of that?
Awareness is key. Just being aware of this phenomenon can make a difference. Cialdini tells this story about a time he was in Poland and he saw someone who needed help. Everyone else was just walking by, but because he was thinking about social proof, he stopped and offered assistance.
So basically, sometimes you got to be the one to break the cycle, to be the first to act.
Exactly. And sometimes social proof is intentionally manufactured. Like, have you ever noticed how some nightclubs have like these really long lines outside, even when it's not that crowded inside?
Oh yeah, totally. It makes it look like it's the place to be.
Exactly. It's all about creating the illusion of popularity. They do the same thing with like those bestseller lists. Sometimes they're not even real bestsellers, but putting that label on it makes people want to buy it.
So it's all about perception.
Yeah.
Making it seem like everyone else is already doing it, so you should too.
Exactly. And this is even more prevalent in the internet age with social media and all that. It's so easy to create these viral trends, even if they're based on nothing.
It's like that saying, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes.
Exactly. So you really have to be careful about what you believe, especially online. Don't just blindly follow the crowd. Do your own research. Think critically.
Good advice. And it's not just about buying stuff or going to clubs. Cialdini also talks about how social proof can influence our thinking about more serious issues, like when there's a tragic event, like a school shooting.
Oh, right. He talks about how in those situations, there's this tendency to look for patterns, to try to understand why it happened.
Makes sense. We want to make sense of the senseless.
Exactly. But sometimes that search for answers can lead us down the wrong path. We might latch on to oversimplified explanations based on, like, what seems to be common among these events, like violent video games or social isolation.
Right, because we're looking for anything to explain it.
Exactly. And that's where social proof can be dangerous. We might see something as a common thread just because it's been repeated enough times, even if there's no real evidence to support it.
So how do we avoid that?
It's about being really critical of the information we consume, being skeptical, demanding evidence. And if you're the one trying to persuade others of something new, something that goes against the grain.
Yeah.
Cialdini says, focus on showing evidence of growing popularity. Don't try to fake widespread acceptance. Just show that more and more people are starting to come around to your idea.
It's like that saying, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win.
Exactly. It's about showing that momentum, that shift in the tide.
Interesting. So is social proof always bad? Or are there times when it's actually useful?
Oh, it definitely has its uses, especially when you're in a new situation and you're genuinely unsure of how to act.
Like if you're traveling to a new country and you're not sure about the customs.
Exactly. Or if you're starting a new job and you're trying to figure out the company culture.
Yeah, that makes sense. You look to others to see what's acceptable.
Right. But the key is to be aware of the potential pitfalls. Don't just blindly follow the crowd. Think for yourself.
Always good advice. Okay, on to the next principle. Authority. This one seems pretty straightforward, right? We tend to obey people in positions of power.
Right. We're taught from a young age to respect authority. Parents, teachers, police officers. And for the most part, that's a good thing. It helps society function.
Yeah, gotta have some order.
Right. But the problem is sometimes we obey authority figures blindly without questioning, even when we should.
Yeah, that could be dangerous.
Cialdini tells this horrifying story about a doctor who wrote a prescription for eardrops, but he abbreviated right ear as our ear.
Oh, no.
And the nurse, she read it as rear and administered the eardrops. Well, you can guess where.
That's awful. How could that happen?
Because she was blindly following orders. She didn't stop to think, to question, to use her common sense. And that's what authority can do, can shut down our critical thinking.
So how can we avoid that? How do we know when to question authority?
Cialdini says, first of all, be aware of the symbols of authority. It's not just about someone's actual position or expertise. It's also about how they present themselves.
Like their clothes, their title.
Exactly. Titles like doctor or professor, they carry a lot of weight, even if the person isn't actually an expert in the specific thing you're dealing with. He even talks about how actors playing doctors in commercials can be surprisingly persuasive. It's the same with clothing, uniforms, business suits. They project an image of authority.
Yeah, like I'm less likely to jaywalk if a guy in a suit is doing it too. It just feels more official somehow.
Right. It gives them an air of legitimacy. And Cialdini talks about these bank examiner scams where con artists dress up in really nice suits to appear trustworthy.
Oh, wow. So they're using those symbols to manipulate people.
Exactly. And it works. People are more likely to believe them, to give them money, to trust them with sensitive information.
So what can we do? How do we know who to trust?
Cialdini says, when you're dealing with someone who claims to be an authority, ask yourself two questions. First, is this person really an expert in this area? And second, how truthful can I expect them to be?
So check their credentials and their motives.
Exactly. And remember, genuine experts, they're not afraid to admit when they don't know something or when they've made a mistake. It actually makes them seem more trustworthy.
Okay, that makes sense. On to the next principle, scarcity. This one is all about how we tend to want things more when they're hard to get.
Right. We're all programmed to avoid loss. Right. And that includes the loss of opportunity.
So if something's scarce, it feels like we might lose out on it.
Exactly. And that makes it seem more valuable in our minds.
Like those limited time offers you see everywhere.
Exactly. Or like when a salesperson tells you there's only one left of something.
Oh yeah, they always do that. And it totally works.
Because it creates this sense of urgency you
Yeah.
feel.